When you look up red hot mess, that was me. I was resigned to the fact that Crohn's is a lifetime sentence and I was just going to live with that. I was so lethargic or in pain. So it's hard to concentrate. We were probably months away from separating. He came out and said it, if you don't fix your head, I'm out. It's no longer a life sentence for me. My mind is stilled and it's allowing my body to heal. Yeah, I'm calmer. I'm just going with the flow.
How's the relationship today?
100 times better. The doctors are seeing a result. He said to me the other day, what are you doing differently? Because I've never seen your wound look so good in 5 years. But what would it cost you in 12 months' time if you don't do this? You just have to find a way.
You're listening to the Transform Your Life from the Inside Out podcast. This is another episode in the Transformational interview series. Today, we're actually visiting with a TCP student. Her name is Saul McMurray. She's in Sydney, Australia, and you're going to love her story because we're going to talk about several areas in her life that she dramatically improved as a result of being in the Transformational coaching program. So if you're dealing with health issues, money issues, or relationship issues, like I said, you're going to love this episode. Keep listening. Saul, welcome to our time today. Thank you so much for being here and offering your experience to help other people also heal themselves emotionally, physically, mentally, and in different ways. So thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me on, Jim.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure. And when you told me about your story, when I put out a call for people that wanted to be on the podcast, your story just jumped out at me right away because most people are dealing with one or two things in their life that aren't going right. You were dealing in your mind with three things that weren't going well. And they're also the three biggest areas in life. So you were dealing with health issues. You weren't so much dealing with money issues, but you were a money inner and a money outer.
Correct.
Enough in, money goes out. We're not accumulating a lot of money. Mm-hmm. And then relationship issues.
Yes.
So let's dig in with the health issue. Fill us in, please. Let us all know, what was your health condition when you enrolled in TCP?
So I've been diagnosed with Crohn's disease. It's an autoimmune disease there's no cure for it apparently. So I've had that for a very, very long time. I've had that for over 40 years. My Crohn's is stress triggered. A lot of people's Crohn's is triggered by food. Mine is stress related. And it manifests in different things. So mine was wound healing. I've got an open wound that doesn't close up, but it also makes you feel lethargic. You get, obviously, stomach conditions. Because of the stress levels that I was going through, my Crohn's was next level. It was off the Richter.
Were you often in pain?
Yes, always in pain. Yeah.
And then that doubled with probably a lack of energy.
Absolutely.
Or the lethargy.
Yeah.
Then made it harder when you would say things like, the doctor said I should work out or stay active or this or that. It made it harder because mentally the stress was inducing all this.
Yes.
So you're the physical symptoms, but the physical symptoms then made it hard to literally get yourself on a rhythm mentally and physically.
Yeah.
Is that accurate?
Yeah. It was sometimes hard just to get through the day because I was so lethargic or in pain. So it's hard to concentrate when you just, there's this dull ache and pain everywhere. So it was challenging.
We're going to hop around a little bit. So how do you think, and I don't want to dig into all of this yet, but I'm just curious while we're on this topic of Crohn's, how do you think it impacted your marriage?
Dramatically. I was trying to launch a business and my husband was launching his own business as well at the same time. Because of the pain, I just couldn't focus. I couldn't concentrate. So my launch took a little bit longer than I wanted, which then impacted, obviously, our finances, which then impacted my marriage. We were constantly arguing about the state of my business or our money. And because I was in pain, I was very dismissive. Got enough to deal with. I didn't need to have the stress of a relationship problem as well. So it impacted it greatly.
So I would think, so you have the Crohn's and that was had the Crohn's. I'm going to change verb tense, had the Crohn's. So that was causing stress in the body, causing pain, causing irritability, causing lack of energy, which was more stress on you.
Mhm.
And then that compounded the stress in your marital relationships.
Yeah.
Not only did you have the stress of at that time, the illness, but you had the stress also of the challenging marriage.
Yes.
Fair to say.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct.
Let's go back to the beginning of when we met. How are you doing today with, and by the way, before we started, everyone listening, she had said, I had been diagnosed with, and I've said before, take the diagnosis, but not the prognosis. And many times we're given a diagnosis, but then we accept the prognosis also, and that becomes our outcome. So where were you mentally when you enrolled in TCP?
When you look up red hot mess, that was me.
Red hot mess.
Red hot mess. I was resigned to the fact that Crohn's is a lifetime sentence, and I was just going to live with that. I always thought in the back of my mind that I was dealing with the Crohn's quite well, and I wasn't letting it control my life. But looking back on it, it was completely controlling my life. So, it's no longer a life sentence for me.
I want to come back to what you just said, but I want to ask you also, did I pay you to be here today?
No.
Did I tell you what to say today?
No.
One more question, and then we'll go back to the life sentence. Where you are today, as opposed to where you were when you started, do you think you could have done that on your own or without TCP?
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
Definitely not.
And, many people say, oh, I'm going to do it on my own. I'm going to do it on my own. Or they struggle for many, many, many years like you did. And they struggle. They lose their marriages, and their finances are worse, and their business is worse, and then their health gets worse, and all these kind of things. Here's the reality. If people could solve the problems they have, they would have already solved them.
Correct.
Because they haven't already solved them, they don't know how. So where are you? You said you've realized, and I'm proud of you, that Crohn's is not a lifetime sentence. Where are you in terms of your physicality, how you're feeling today, and mentally about it?
I'm a lot calmer in myself. My mind is stilled, and it's allowing my body to heal. And the doctors are seeing a result. I see a doctor every week for wound care. He said to me the other day, what are you doing differently? Because I've never seen your wound look so good in 5 years. So the only thing that's changed in my life is TCP and your teachings.
No, you've changed. TCP was a facilitator.
That's correct.
But the only thing that's changed in your life is you, because life doesn't change until we change. Please continue.
The perfect saying is, you don't know what you don't know. And going back to, could you have done this on your own? No, because I didn't have the tools. I didn't have the skills. So I didn't know what I didn't know. I didn't know how to get out of my rut. I didn't know how to heal my body. I didn't know how to get out of my financial mind barriers. So it was, it has been life-changing for me.
Let's say that you're sitting across from a female friend, you've not seen in a while. And they said, Sal, you look great. You look amazing. You look healthy. You look happy. You're doing well. And they told you that they got a diagnosis and they're physically sick.
Mm-hmm.
It can be Crohn's, lupus, Lyme disease, whatever. And they said, they would say, I've been diagnosed with XYZ. What would you tell them?
Don't believe the diagnosis. Heal yourself. Heal your body.
So we're just going to dialogue through this. How?
I learnt how to still my mind through self-hypnosis, just sitting with myself and listening to my body. And when I needed a timeout, I took a timeout. I allowed myself the permission to take a timeout. I had major control issues. I tried to control everything in my life. And I had to release that because that was just weighing me down. And now it's just water off a duck's back. It's not worth it. I'm fighting different battles.
The body automatically goes into healing once we get quiet, but we don't know how to get quiet. And especially if we're a perfectionist or we're fearful or we are a control person. So how did this control issue play out in and we're still going to come back to the health a little bit, but How did the control issues play out in your marriage?
I had to control everything. I had to control our finances. I had to control how tidy the house was. If my husband didn't put something in the bin, I would absolutely just, I'd absolutely go off at him. And sometimes he would make suggestions for, to invest somewhere, or suggestions for my business. And I'd be like, no, because it didn't come from me. I wasn't very open about receiving information. And that caused a lot of friction in our family, because he was like, why don't you value what I'm saying to you? And it wasn't a matter I wasn't valuing it. It was a matter of I just had to control it.
But he interpreted, which we do a week on interpretations in TCP,
Yes.
He interpreted that because you didn't take his suggestions, the way that he was interpreting it was that you don't value his intelligence, his partnership,
Correct.
his life experience. And then if I had to guess, he probably felt, obviously, that you didn't value him, and that probably created some separation in your marriage.
Yes, 100%.
Right?
Yeah.
So is there anything, what else could you add about the state of the relationship when we met, your marriage?
We were probably months away from separating.
How come, wait, I want to take this apart. How come, in your mind, what's your reasoning that we're headed to divorce or separation?
He came out and said it. If you don't fix your head, well, I'm out.
How long have you been married?
13 years.
You say 13 or 30?
13.
13, okay.
Yeah.
So he said, if you don't, sorry laughing, but that's kind of interesting. If you don't fix your head, I'm leaving.
Yes.
Right?
Yep. Pretty much.
What was your response when he said that?
My head doesn't need fixing.
My head doesn't need fixing. Were you projecting and not being responsible and making it about him?
Yes.
Okay. And I don't mean to be too personal, but people can relate to this because this is what we do as human beings.
Yeah.
So when he said, if you don't fix your head, I'm leaving, were you making it about, well, you're not doing this and you're not that and you're X, Y, Z. And so you were actually not being 100% responsible.
100%.
And you were making it about him and what he did.
Yeah.
But in your mind, were you okay in your mind, but it wasn't you, it was him?
Yeah. Yeah. 100%. It was me. It was him. It wasn't me. It never is me because, in my head, I wasn't doing anything wrong because I didn't recognize.
You didn't see it, right?
I didn't recognize the controlling behavior that I was actually engaging in.
When did that epiphany come for you? Because this is a big thing for a lot of people. When did that epiphany come for you in TCP? If you can remember when it came, was it gradual? Was it one coaching call that I did and you're like, that's me? Like, when did this epiphany come that, oh my God, I'm a control freak?
I think it was gradual, but I think it was one of the times where you spoke about fear, being responsible for my own actions. And I wasn't being responsible for my own actions. And so that was the module that, I think that got me. A lot of the modules, if you were perfectly honest and did them perfectly, it was eye-opening.
That's why it took me years to create the program. And that's why there's so much homework, because the modules are designed to introduce you to yourself.
That's correct.
And when you're honest and you do them, you're like, holy mackerel.
Yeah.
I didn't see that in me.
Didn't see it at all.
How did you start treating your husband differently once you started seeing it?
I was more open to ideas. I was more open to conversation. I would go with the flow. I would never go with the flow. Everything had to be my way. And he's even saying to me, why didn't you do this 13 years ago? I didn't know Jim then.
Jim I wasn't doing them like I was many years ago, but not like we are now. What we've got to do. How has he changed?
He's happier. We have open conversations all the time, and it's a dialogue now. It's not shut off. I don't now just every time he says something, I go, no. I'm open to exploring ideas, exploring new things.
Do you have kids?
No.
Okay. Because I was going to ask you how, but people listening, When you're in the kind of relationship that's not healthy and doing well, how does that impact the kids? And a lot of people don't think about
Yeah.
that because the kids are observing mommy and daddy. They never touch, they never kiss, they never hug. They're always tense. Kids can pick up the energy. And we think, well, we won't tell the kids, it's just mom and dad.
Kids can
But
see
the
it.
kids are picking up their energy and they're learning how to be in life.
Yeah.
Okay. So when we met, did he tell you before you enrolled that if you don't get your head fixed? Okay.
That was the
So
catalyst.
that was a catalyst. In other words, so when we open the doors, you already have proper motivation. Something's got to change,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. How's the relationship today overall? Whatever you can share.
It's 100 times better. You know, we can actually have fun now. We're like, there used to be such tension and almost resentment between us because he wasn't being heard and I was, well, stop, barking at me. So, it was very tense. And now it's just, I'm easygoing.
Good. Okay. So you probably don't recall, it's module number 11, I believe. I asked a question, week number 11. What does your partner give up to be in relationship with you? And I asked out of every TCP in that module, what was your husband giving up to be in a marriage with you?
I'd go as far as saying his identity because he had to,
Big one.
he was tiptoeing around me and he was conforming to my way because the alternative was just me being angry all the time and being triggered.
So to keep the peace, which by the way, he would, if I ever worked with him, I'd want him to have the comfort to speak up in a relationship and stand in his own power. But if I'm understanding correctly, he would tiptoe around you, which caused you, because you were angry.
Yeah.
So then he'd tiptoe around you, which caused a lot of stress and unfulfillment for him because he was tiptoeing around you the whole time.
100%.
So he's in his corner, you're in your corner,
Yeah.
you shake hands and you're married, and that's about the end of it.
Yeah.
So do you guys do things now? Do you go places? Do you have nice?
We're always, we sit side by side running two businesses and, and that was very tense. But now, we're going to the football where, I play poker over night time and, he comes with me, a couple of nights a week. So yeah, we're just having fun.
You said an operative, well, that's where I'm going. The operative word, a lot of people probably didn't get it earlier when you said that. And in my opinion, this is vital to a healthy relationship. Does the couple have fun together? Because if they don't have fun, what's the point of being in the relationship?
Yeah.
And life is not a bed of roses. Things come at us. But where I look at is what can we do to have fun together to make life more enjoyable? And if you're in tension all the time, you are not doing that.
Yeah. You don't want to be around each other.
You don't want to be around each other. I'm very transparent. I've been there before and I've had to learn those lessons is you don't want to be there. So then what I've recognized many years ago, you've got two people living in the same house, yet they're both very lonely people.
Yeah.
But yet they're sitting on the couch next to each other.
Correct. Yeah.
You could relate to that.
Yeah.
That was you.
We were roommates.
Okay. How would he say you've changed? Is there anything specific he has said?
Yeah, I'm calmer. I'm just going with the flow. I'm calmer.
Okay. Calmer.
Yeah.
Okay. Got it. Not just said karma, and I like that's the
Sorry,
accent.
it's the Australian accent.
Calmer.
Yeah.
Got it.
Yeah.
Which I would assume, because I'm guessing he probably doesn't like confrontation.
No.
Based upon what you told me. So he doesn't like confrontation. And when you're angry and all these kind of things, that's confrontation.
Yes.
So he was shut down.
Yeah.
But now that you're calmer, he doesn't have that confrontation little bell in the background always ringing.
Yeah, he's not always on edge.
Do you both at this point, and we don't know what tomorrow is going to bring, do you think that you've healed the relationship enough that you guys are going to continue to grow?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's amazing to hear.
It's a huge difference.
That is amazing to hear. So let's talk for a second. Money. Where were you with money when we met?
We're quite fortunate. We've had really, really good jobs, really high paying jobs. And so, we set ourselves up quite well. But we always chased and we had plenty and then we chase something and it'd all go away. And so we would sort of go, okay, we've got to chase some more. So,
By the way, that's exhausting.
yeah, it is very exhausting. And I was so I've got an accounting background and I live and die by a spreadsheet. I could tell you exactly how much is going into our account and how much is going out every minute of the day. When we had jobs, when we started our own businesses, I spiraled because I had no control over that. I couldn't foresee how much was coming. I couldn't forecast it. I couldn't budget it. And so that caused me a lot of anxiety. And I had to...
Which is not good for Crohn's.
No. And I had to let go of that. I had to just go, do your best and just let it go. It'll all work out in the end.
And it does. And let me ask you about your doctors. Did your doctors ever tell you how to heal the Crohn's?
No, because they don't know how to do it.
Exactly. They don't know how to do it. So they tell you from a mechanical diagnostic point of view, here's your meds, here's this, here's that. They don't know how to tell you to work with your mind and use your subconscious mind to heal you.
Yep.
Now, when you were in TCP, I taught you guys, starting on week number 4, self-hypnosis. If I had to guess, you were pretty diligent with your hypnotic work.
I was. Still am.
So what I'm hearing you say is that you prioritized your own transformation.
Absolutely.
It wasn't you coming in there saying, hey, Jim, fix me. It was you doing and taking the tools that we gave you. And as a result, you've healed. I don't want to talk more about money, but you've healed your relationship and your health. Now, what are you doing? And we'll talk about this and take it apart. What are you doing to heal your money, the money in, money out?
I'm letting go. I'm being honest with myself with the commitment I'm making to my business because I wasn't being very honest about that and I wasn't really committed.
What is that? Okay, so in other words, you were doing it like a hobby.
Yeah, just give you a little bit of background. So I was a fraud investigator for 20 years and left that last year to open this business because I'd had enough of fraud. I still identify as a fraud investigator in my mind. So if somebody says to me, what do you do? The first thing that comes to mind is I'm a fraud investigator. But I'm selling jewelry at the moment because I love jewelry and it's a family heritage. My grandfather and my uncles have been jewelers all their lives. So I want to sort of continue that legacy. And so when I started this, it was really just sort of going to be a part-time thing. It has to be my full-time job. I'm not ready to retire. So
yeah, we won't talk too much about it here, but in TSP, which you're in, I asked you guys maybe last week or so, do you approach your work as a hobby or is it your job and career?
Yeah.
And most of us, I've been there. When we start a business and we're self-employed, we treat it as a hobby. We kind of just put it together. We're not, when you worked a job, you didn't put it together for the most part. You had to be there. You had KPIs. You were accountable.
Yep.
You had to deliver when you were working for someone else.
Yep.
But then when you're working for yourself, I don't want to do it today. I'll do it later, et cetera.
Yep.
Then you don't deliver and then you don't get the results because you don't deliver.
That's correct.
So for all of you listening, what she's really telling you is if you're self-employed, you're an entrepreneur, you must treat that as if it is your job. It's not your hobby. Treat it like it is your career and your profession. And then what I'll tell Saul here, and we'll keep going, is never again refer to yourself as a claims adjuster, or I'm sorry, the investigator, I think you said. Let that go and identify as a person who sells extremely high quality, high end, very desirable jewelry.
Yeah.
Two very different identities.
Yes, very.
What were other pivotal points in our time together that were pivotal for you, things that stood out?
So I think the first module was about identity and your values. And I had to go through that, I think, 3 times before I came out with my top 10 list. Because the first time I did it, I thought I had my values in place. And then I did it again and I'm like, oh no, actually when I think about it, I'm like, well, no, these aren't really my true values. So that was pivotal because that was a foundation of trying to understand myself. And I had to build on that.
Yeah, when we give you guys the homework for values, most people do what you do. They go through it once and they go through it on autopilot. Oh, here's what I think that it is. But that's their blind spot. And then when we give you more information, you're like, oh, okay, why are these my values? What do they mean? What do they represent to me? What do they represent to other people? What do other people say about me? Are these values that I think I should hold for me, or are values that other people think they should hold for me? And then they come to that epiphany of, aha, these now I finally found me and all this, fluff. I found me and what my values are.
100%.
What's your highest value now for your relationship?
Freedom and abundance were my two highest.
Freedom and abundance. And that's a lot of people's values,
Yeah.
freedom and abundance. What about your business? Same thing or different?
My business is wealth and abundance.
And your health?
I haven't really thought about that one.
Okay, put some thought into that.
Yeah.
When I was sick in 2020, I literally worked from my whole year was about being on a path to wholeness. Meaning I came out of a cocoon in 2020 and I started exploring myself in different ways. But for me, even though I've worked in this field for 30 years, it was more about power of the mind.
Yeah.
How do I use, because I'd never had to do it till I was 55, ever was I ever sick. And when I turned 55 is when I got sick. And I'm like, okay, truly now I've taught this for years and this is some serious crap. How do I do this for me at a core subconscious level? So I would assume that you probably have learned, and I don't want to lead you, but this is leading you. I'm guessing you probably learned that you can heal yourself.
Yeah. The mind is a powerful thing. And I didn't realize that. Whenever
Wait, you didn't realize, you've heard it before though, right?
Heard it.
Yeah, blah,
Yeah.
blah. I've heard it, TV, yeah, okay.
Didn't
Social
sink
media,
in.
I've heard it.
Yep.
But you didn't know it. Please continue.
And I didn't place too much value on hypnosis, because for me, the only time I ever came in contact with hypnosis is on stage when somebody's clucking like a chicken, and I really didn't ever believe that was actually true. But then what I came to realize is that self-hypnosis was just stilling your mind. It was just quiet. And that's what your body needs. I've got a dog and my mum lives with us and my husband works from home. So our house is always, there's always movement. And so when I was doing my hypnosis, I would sort of lock it away and I'd go, do not disturb me for the next 20 minutes, 30 minutes, because I just needed that quiet. And
how was your husband with that?
Yeah, he was great. Yeah, he was very supportive.
And of course, I'm going to tell you the truth. He was supportive because he wasn't looking at his own self and how he contributed to things in the relationship. Takes two to tango. But he's supportive because he's like, oh, she's getting better.
Yes.
So I'm going to support her getting better because when she's better,
yes.
then she'll be better to me and I'm happier.
Yep.
So of course he was supportive. A lot of people, I haven't used this word in probably 10 years. It just popped into my mind. But when I did full hypnosis sessions, I would kid with people that people become hypno junkies because it feels so good to relax, truly relax and let the mind go that people don't want to leave that emotional state because it's so, so relaxing, but it's also very, very healing. I'm sure people listening are getting a lot of takeaways. And the reason TCP is a group program, there are some people that want one-to-one. I don't want to do one-to-one for the most part. Why? Because we don't have the mirror of the group. Mm-hmm. In the group, we see other people and we're like, oh, monkey see, monkey do. If they can heal, I can heal. If they can make money, I can make money, et cetera. But, what were a couple of your favorite foundational thoughts in TCP? And you mentioned a bit earlier about a polished rock, which is something that I said and the coaches say. How do you understand that and what does it mean to you and how does it help you?
To me, what I understand, being a polished rock, you just let things flow. You just let things fall off you. Don't let it bother you. Just let it go. Because at the end of the day, it's not worth it. You just be free.
Is that weird for you to let things go?
Oh, it was torture. It was absolute torture. I'm 55 years old. I have been a control freak all my life. My friends are actually noticing that I'm not triggered. I don't get angry. Just, whatever. If you don't like me, you
And
don't like me.
and that's like your husband. It's probably made your friends probably pulled them a lot further into a relationship with you or in their communication with you. Because even without recognizing it, they're knowing you're going to control things in the past and they postured themselves for that. And now, and I think you're lovely. By the way, there was a guy interviewing me last week here from Australia and he used the word lovely. I'm like,
Yeah.
we use it a little bit differently in the US, but that's lovely. But I think your friends are finding you lovelier to be around because you're not trying to control things at dinner, lunches, conversations, topics, whatever. So that's going to make your life. But I want everyone to notice big words for you. And these are big lifetime words. And you know what they mean now. You know them.
Yeah.
And that is freedom. Freedom. All of us want freedom, but most of us don't know what it is. And you've discovered what freedom is. And then another one you had mentioned is heavy.
Heavy.
What do you want to share about that?
For me, when I was controlling, I had a lot of baggage. I was carrying a lot of stuff. And I know you and the coaches always say, if you're heavy, you can't fly. And that is so true. It's when you let go of all of that, it's just freeing. You can it's true. You can spread your wings. And yeah, it's just freedom. And one of my values.
Don Juan said that to me many years ago in the 90s. He said, when you think too much, you make yourself heavy. When you're heavy, you cannot fly. It took me a long time to come to know what that means. You're demonstrating it right here.
Yeah.
When you live like the polished rock, you're not heavy anymore.
Nope.
A polished rock is like a jeweler's stone. It's been polished. All the water doesn't beat up on it. It just rolls off. And when we learn how to manage the mind like we do in TCP, it's easier to become a polished rock.
100%.
What if somebody said to you, thank you for all this, Sal, but I can do it all on my own? What would you say?
No, you can't. Definitely
How
cannot
come?
do it. You bring so many years of wisdom and knowledge, and your coaches just tap into us. And like you said before, you look at other people in the group. And I remember the first time we had a group call, I thought, I want to listen to Jim. I don't want to listen to everybody else's problems. And they were so insightful because
Yeah.
their problems were my problems.
Yeah.
And, they first call, well, you had more guts than I do to, get on the call. And you can't find that on your own. You don't get those years and that wealth of knowledge by reading a book. It's experience. You are interacting with other people that are experiencing the same issues as yourself. So
That's brilliant what you just said, because so many, we go to dinner with our friends, any of us, but our friends aren't telling us their marriage is falling apart. They're not telling us, for the most part, their business is coming apart. They're not telling us, for the most part, they've been diagnosed or have XYZ. They're dealing with these things on their own.
Yeah.
And when we see it in a setting that, as you know, TCP is very loving and very accepting and very private, when we see other people, we're like, oh my God, that's me. That's my story. And now I see how someone else is dealing with it, which is what I said earlier with social learning. What if somebody said to you, Sal, my life is a hot mess. I can't afford to enroll in TCP. What would you say?
find a way. I was the same.
Find
a
a
way.
way.
Yeah. Because I remember I was in exactly the same position because I couldn't afford it. And I spoke to one of your team before the TCP started, and she said to me, what would it cost you in 12 months' time if you don't do this? And at the time I said to her, it probably cost me my marriage and my business. And I didn't factor in my health at that point because that wasn't, a priority. You just have to find a way.
Yeah, that's a great way to put it, in that many of us won't find a way, and then our marriage falls apart, and then we don't recognize, okay, so if I invest money, it's got a full guarantee, but I can get my money back if Jim doesn't deliver, but no, I'm not going to do it. Now your marriage falls apart. Your kids are separated. You've got to sell your house because now you're dividing all your assets. Now you're set back and you're traumatized. And I can't say TCP can heal all marriages. I mean,
No.
one guy once said, TCP will hasten what's going to happen inevitably. Meaning if you're going to already get divorced, it will hasten it. But if you want to repair it, it will hasten that as well.
Yep.
So basically, find a way.
Yep.
Any parting words, and then we'll tell people where they can find you and what you do, a little more about that. Any parting words for people listening today?
The TCP community was surprisingly supportive. I was shocked by the love and support everybody had for complete strangers. But I think that's from the fact that we all resonate with you. We're all there for a reason. And you allow us to be ourselves. You allow us to open up. You know, sometimes we need to be smacked in the head, and you smack us in the head. But then sometimes...
Nicely.
Yes. And then sometimes
Nicely.
you go gentle because that's what we need. So if anybody is thinking about doing TCP or needs, if their life is upside down, if they're a red hot mess like I was, hands down, they have to join TCP.
Yeah, and this is not therapy. As you know, we don't do therapy. There was somebody in TCP from Australia named Tanya, who's a branding professional. I will be working with her. But she said, Jim, your market, and I get lost in my own marketing like anybody gets lost in their own stuff. Like I can look at your marketing and tell you exactly, Patty, and I can tell you how to fix it. But my own stuff, I'm like, well, I don't know where to start because I get trapped in my own stuff. But Tanya, who was in your cohort with you, said what TCP looks like on the outside is nothing like on the inside.
No.
They're apples and oranges. I never realized that you would be here every day supporting me. Most people like you don't show up and they leave it all to the coaches. So any of you guys listening, if you want to be coddled in a good way and supported, then this is a community for you because we're all, I'll leave it at this. You said, I don't know, I forgot your phraseology, but I want you to be who and what you are, whatever that is. And many times we can't do that to our families because we're afraid they're going to judge us or they're going to criticize us, or your mom's going to say, what are you thinking? Or your dad's going to say, you can't make money, at that. And we forsake our heart and our love and our dharma because of external influences. And we've got to be who and what we are and stand in our own power. Sal, where can people find out what do you do and who's your target market, meaning who would appreciate what you do, and where can we find you?
So I have an online fine jewelry business called luxauctions.com.au, luxauctions.com.au.
Just like it sounds, but I just want to make sure. Okay.
And it's beautiful pieces of jewelry for whether you want to invest or you just want a gorgeous, item. We also have watches. So our target market is really women sort of between the ages of 30 and 65, and men who really want beautiful watches.
So are these people looking for quality or fine jewelry and are looking for something unique or different or I just want people listening to know where they can go.
Well, so we cut out the middleman. So our pieces are about 80% off valuation cost.
Okay, guys, did you hear this? Hello. If they cut out the middle person and they're 80% off, don't walk, run.
Right, exactly.
Find out what she has for you if you're wanting jewelry.
Yeah. Don't go to a shop front. So, we have a misconception that auctions are, hard and you're not getting quality or you're getting secondhand. We do have some secondhand pre-loved items, but 90% of our stuff is brand new, and we do cut out the middleman, and it's heavily reduced.
So what the customer gets is high quality jewelry at 80% off, thereabouts. Good prices. I don't know who wouldn't take you up on that deal. If I needed jewelry, I'd be calling you, and I may need it in the future. You never know. So thank you for sharing. You come across very genuinely and heartfelt, and thank you for sharing your hot mess story and how you're still in the process, but you already in your mind are seeing yourself healed. Your relationship is better, and you're shifting your relationship with money. So thank you for sharing that with people, because I know many people found great value today.
Thank you. Thank you
for
so
being
much,
here
Jim, for
today.
having me on.